Hello everyone! Again, my name is Antonella, and first of all, excuse me for the background. This is the only place I could do this video. Today's video is going to be about flight physicals, specifically Flight Physical Class 3. Depending on what your job is, if you want to be a pilot, then it's one class. If you're just going to be in the aircraft, then you're most likely going to be Flight Physical Class 3, like me. But let me rewind a little bit. Usually flight physicals take place during basic, but because I need to get a waiver and some of you might have to get a waiver as well, so we need to get that flight physical in before we even sign our contract. As you may know or may not know, the purpose of it is to show that you are healthy enough to be in an aircraft so that they can excuse you for whatever you're lacking. In my case, it's my height. I'm 5'2", and you have to be 5'4" to be in an aircraft. So basically, they did all these tests, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And right now, I'm waiting for my waiver. And just throwing it out there, if you're going to be an in-flight med tech and you think you're too short, there is a waiver. I did a lot of research, and everybody kept saying that there are no waivers for heights when it comes to being an in-flight med tech, but there are. So, if that's a job that you want, go for it. As I mentioned before, there are 3 different classes of flight physicals. So depending on what your job is, you're going to have different tests. Now, I believe it is up to your recruiter to see what test he or she wants you to get done. In my case, my recruiter ordered blood work to be done, also a urine test, EKG to make sure my heart's okay, an x-ray, and then just vision tests. There's like a lot of other things that they could make you do, like dental or audio, but that just again depends on your recruiter and what he or she's trying to achieve. First of all, it would be like in a hospital within the base, closest base that you have to go to. So for the lab test, you will go to this room. You'll go and they'll take about 10 to 12 vials of blood. And one thing my recruiter forgot to tell me was that for 2 or 3 of them, you have to come like fasting. So make sure that you don't eat anything for at least 12 hours before you go. So if you have to show up at 7 a.m., your last meal should be at 7 p.m. the day before. You're probably in the same room like me. They're going to make you do another urine test. But this time, it won't be like MAPS. You'll just go in the bathroom by yourself. After that, they send me down to get my vision tests. So basically, my recruiter sent the papers from MAPS, so they looked and saw that I passed all the tests, but it is up to them to make you repeat any of the tests depending on what they see. So they made me repeat the color blindness test. Now, this one is different than MAPS. The one at MAPS is really easy. You just have the numbers in that background and it is easy to spot out, but in this one, they'll make you sit on a computer and they'll have like 3 different colors and they have letters. And so they will first like show you this letter and it's going to be bright and it's going to be easy to distinguish. But as you go and get it right, it will become faint or more faint every time. So it is harder to see at some point. You're just like, oh, I think that's that. I mean, either way, if you're not colorblind, you'll get it, but it is a little bit tougher. They will show you the results right after you're done and tell you if you passed or not. Pretty much after every single test, except for the blood test because it takes more time. They'll give you feedback. After that, they did the standard. They put the machine thing, and you just read the letters, whichever line the farthest line that you can. So they do that, and again, they give you feedback on it, good, no. And then after that, a doctor will explain that she's gonna put this eye drops to dilate your pupils, and another one to like numb your eye because those drops kind of sting. So they put both, and they're like, come back in an hour, anywhere from like an hour to an hour and a half, and we'll take a look at it again and how much your vision changes. You have no control over any of this, but they do want to see that your vision doesn't change that much with the drops from what they did before. So that is good if it doesn't change much. And I gotta say, it's the weirdest feeling ever. I had never gotten my pupils dilated, and it was just weird. I felt like I was drunk. Everything's blurry. You literally feel like you're really old. Like you can't see anything up close. Like everything has to be like way over here for you to see it. Just bring sunglasses. When it comes to eye tests, they will also check the pressure in your eye. I had never gotten this done, but it's just a machine. You sit in there, and then they tell you to just keep your eyes wide open, and it's just like a puff of air. And obviously, if you close your eyes and it misses, then you'll have to just keep doing it until it finally hits your eye. So then I had to go to the women's health room, which wasn't just women, it was just like for everybody. So I went there, and they did the EKG. So then they just put the electrodes, and they just check real quick. It's a really quick test, and to make sure your heart's functioning okay, which mine was. And after that, they just made me go back outside, and also they took my vitals. But that's just, I guess, routine. And then they did the functional reach test because my recruiter asked for it, since I have to get a height waiver. But basically what it is, they'll just put you against the wall, and then you'll have to reach up in as far as you can. And then after that, the guy couldn't find the actual machine to do it in, so he just did it the old-fashioned way. So he just put tape from the ground up to where I could reach, and then he just measured that with the tape measurement. The last thing I had to get done was an x-ray of my chest so that they could take a look at my lungs and see if there was anything wrong with them. Obviously, they need to be okay because when you're in a plane, your body is going through a lot of stress, like I mentioned before. So they did the test, and he was very nice, and he's like, do you want to see what your lungs look like? I'm like, sure. And so we go and take a look, and he told me actually that I have lungs that are bigger than they should be for my height. I got a little bit scared, but he said it's actually a good thing. If you have questions or comments, just make sure you post them down below. But I wish you guys all the best of luck, and I hope you pass.